Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be making instant dates in person. So I've got an email success story, but what's interesting is this particular guy that wrote in, he's kind of being hard on himself, but I really like what he did. He met a girl randomly in a park, and he ended up spending the day and the evening with her and had a little bit of kissy poo at the end of the night. And he's basically saying, "Oh, I feel like a chump. I feel like I was just her entertainment." And so he's really hard on himself, but this is the kind of thing you want to be able to do because you could be on vacation, you could be visiting friends, and when you meet somebody and you kind of click and there's chemistry and she's willing to engage with you in conversation, you can make instant dates that oftentimes will lead to the indoor Olympics. And at the end of the day, your job as a man in the courtship is to create an opportunity for sex to happen, to hang out, to have fun, and to hook up. And it doesn't matter obviously, if you're really religious and you're no sex until marriage, then obviously the seduction takes place on your wedding night. But if you're like most guys in the West, you're going to typically be sleeping with her by the second or third date. That's just reality. And so my job as a coach is to help people get what they want, not impose my values or my views on people, because everybody's got different ones. And I deal with people on every different kind of cultural background and religious background from all over the world. So I got a quote that I wrote, and we'll go through his email. And so the quote says, "If a woman likes you, she makes it easy to spend time with her. When she doesn't, she makes it difficult. Women who have low romantic interest will often be vague and unsure when you try to make plans with them. This is where it's essential to be direct, decisive, and try to make definite plans with confidence, because often this display of masculinity is enough to pique a woman's romantic interest in you and give you a chance to seduce her. If she won't make definite plans but offers a maybe or I'll think about it date, politely decline and tell her to get in touch when her schedule frees up. Then, this is the important part, then be congruent with what you told her." So in this case, this guy said, "Hey, get in touch." He's got to be congruent with it, but he's thinking, "Oh, I'll wait a few weeks and then I'll start chasing her again." Because again, he's projecting his high interest onto her, and he's completely ignoring the fact that he's more into her than she is into him. And that's just not going to work out long term if you're putting more interest in her than she is in you. You want to kind of match and mirror that. And so there are some things that she's done in there that, if you are familiar with 3% Man, you can tell that it shows low interest. But the idea is you don't look at one thing, one technique, one strategy, one tip and say, well, this is the be-all, end-all of everything. You have to take the context of everything that happens, because there are some things that the woman does here that under normal circumstance you would say, oh, she's not that into me. But if you look at what happened next, she definitely seems to be into him. So he says, "Hey, Corey, I've been following you for 1 year and read the book 6 times. He says, "I know." So in other words, what he means by "I know" is like, Coach is going to bust my balls about the fact after a whole year, he still hasn't gotten through the book 10 or 15 times. "Since the last 2 times I went out with friends, they cock-blocked me like morons. I decided to go out by myself this time." I think that's a great idea. If you've got the confidence and you feel comfortable, you should absolutely go out by yourself, especially if you got friends that got no game, because they're just going to get in the way. Besides, if you're with them and you have an opportunity like with this, if you've got cock-blocking friends, you're not going to be able to seduce her because your friends are going to get in the way, especially if you're the one driving, or maybe you drove with them, unless you end up leaving with the girl, which is also possible. The idea is you want to think of the logistics as much as possible to make things easy on yourself for the seduction process. "After walking around the park for a while feeling nervous, I approached a girl who was alone with a book and started chatting with her. She had a melancholic aura, so I asked her what was up, and she told me it was her divorce anniversary." I'm like, "Divorce anniversary? Well, that's a reason to celebrate, because you're free. Come have a drink with me." I asked for her name, and she said Jessica, and didn't ask for mine. So obviously we talk about in the book, if people are interested, they ask you personal questions. If they're not, they don't. He says, "I didn't think much of that and invited her to have a beer right there. And she said, yes, that's amazing, dude. Good job. That's exactly what you want to do. Because you don't know. When you don't know, again, the idea is the book gives you a lot of techniques, a lot of tips, a lot of strategies, a lot of behavioral patterns that you want to be on the lookout for to determine whether or not a woman is really into you. Because women will tell you that they're into you when they're actually not. And they will also tell you that they're not into you when they are. And as a man, you're direct, decisive, and you're focused on your outcome and what you want. We went to a bar and had a good time, and I let her do the talking and ask the questions you recommend in your videos. She seemed very entertained, but didn't ask me almost anything about myself other than how many girlfriends I had had or why did I break up. I told her I had been blessed with the women I had in my life and bantered that if she wanted a position as girlfriend, she could send her CV. She liked that. That's a good response. I like that. Good job, dude. She then proceeded to tell me how she was in a long marriage that didn't let her express herself and showed me her Instagram full of pictures in her underwear with hundreds of likes. So obviously, if you're looking for a long-term relationship and a woman that you're talking to is doing nothing but taking pictures of herself in her underwear and posting it as a thirst trap, if it's not a business and she's just doing it, that's typically somebody that didn't get enough strokes from daddy when she was a little girl. And so she seeks attention and validation from other men because it helps her self-esteem and her self-worth. So that's a red flag. But at the end of the day, these are just a multiple of all the options. You got to kind of think of yourself as Sherlock Holmes. You need data for your analysis. You need data in order to make an intelligent and informed decision. He says, I didn't say anything about that other than my honest opinion that Instagram is a waste of time. I ended the date, paid, and invited her to shoot some pool. She hadn't played any pool in her life, so I teased her and she laughed, which I think is a good sign because she doesn't take herself too seriously but is inconsistent with her social media obsession. Well, she's looking for attention and validation. And women that do that on social media typically also do that in person, even when you're dating them. Just because were so starved for affection in childhood that they're always seeking it from men. Even men they're not involved with romantically, because it makes them feel better. He says, I pursued a little bit. I grabbed her waist to show her how to play, gave her a hug when she finally could hit a ball well. That's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. It also shows confidence, and also you're leading her. I immediately realized that was too much and backed off. I was a nice guy, needy chump again, and didn't even realize it. I don't know about that, dude. Because, again, you never know. Sometimes, again, she's displaying things here that show she's not interested, but yet women vote with their feet. If they're with you, it's because they voted for you, despite what they say. We went back and sat to finish our drinks. Then I took her home. I opened the doors for her and walked her to her house. She didn't like that, supposedly. Well, what are her actions? I went for the kiss and we kissed for a couple of minutes. This is why you have the kiss test in there. If she likes you and she's attracted, she'll kiss you back. And if she's not, she'll go whoop and you'll get her cheek. Then we exchanged numbers and she sent a funny sticker. I didn't reply anything to that. Well, I would have liked it back. That would have been about it. And then maybe 4 or 5 days later, I'd reach out and try to set another date if you're so inclined. This is your life. You do what makes you happy. Contemplating on the date, I know what I did wrong and that my energy towards the end was too high, needy, which plays against me. Also, I spent my valuable time and money on someone who I think doesn't even know my name. Maybe, maybe not, but she still sucked the tongue out of the back of your throat. So obviously, but then again, maybe she's from Brazil, and anybody that's dated a Brazilian knows that kissing is kind of not a big deal. Sometimes a kiss is just a kiss. But the bottom line is she kissed you. I feel like I was a chump she used to have a good time when she was feeling sad, and the kiss was just a consolation prize. Am I right? She kissed you. So you hung out with you created a total instant date out of nothing You even drove the girl home after several hours, and she made out with you passionately in front of her place. So how is that not a victory? That was a good time. It's better than sitting at home looking at the four walls and doing nothing. You took the initiative. You asked this girl out. She said yes, and you were the driver of the fun bus. And the payoff was you got some kissy poo, and you got her number, obviously. So 4 or 5 days go by, I'd be texting her going, hey, let's get together. Hey, cutie, let's get together and meet up for a drink. And it's also possible that after 4 or 5 days, she might reach out to you. You just don't know. That's why you go through the progressions in the book and see what happens next. So I think you did great. There's no reason to be upset. And would I have done anything differently? No, dude, I think your game was, the stuff with you directing her hips and showing her how to stand. I mean, if you were on a first date with a girl at the gun range, you're going to be doing that. You're going to be touching her. So it's okay. You did awesome. Good job, dude. Stop beating yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.